It's hard to overestimate a couple of things. Number one, the Republican Party must try and replace her with someone who doesn't find the U.S. Constitution to be the worst document ever written. What an improvement that must be. And number two, if Trump loses or the Republicans lose the Senate, the Republicans must put someone through before January 20th. Blowing your chance to replace Justice Ginsburg is a generational mistake, and that mistake cannot be made by Republicans. Period. Even if you replaced her with a freaking moderate, you'd be way ahead of the game. Getting this replacement through isn't an argument to vote for Republicans. That's how people are talking about this. Oh, well, Republicans are going to do this to get the vote out, and their base will be excited by this. It's not an argument to vote for Republicans that they are able to replace Justice Ginsburg. It's their job. This is a basic requirement. They must do it. They have to do it. If they don't do it, they're falling down on the job. If they can't get this done, it would be hard to ever vote for them again. That is how important this is. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, love her. I'm sure she was very nice. Everyone says very nice things about her. However, when it comes to actually respecting the Constitution, we have a chance to find someone, to install someone who isn't horrible at it. And that is really important. The media is trying to say that Republicans are hypocrites here. We can address all that in a second, but this is something to remember every single time you are in the position of calling your opposition a hypocrite. If your opponent is obviously switching sides on something, you have to ask yourself the question, did you oppose them both times? Because if you did, your hypocrisy is probably showing a little bit too. Some of this is just, an absurd level of buy-in by the media to the left-wing narrative. Their narrative basically goes like this. Scalia dies with Obama as president. Then Obama names Merrick Garland as his nominee. Republicans say, well, there shouldn't be a vote because it's an election year and we should let the winner of the election pick who the next nominee is. Now, Republicans are fine, of course, with picking a nominee during this election because this time it benefits them. Is this true? Well, not really. The truth is that the entire argument of an election year being part of this discussion is just nonsense. It's been nonsense from the start. The truth is that Garland was never going to be a Supreme Court justice. The Republicans were in control of the Senate. So what would have happened, and as I said at the time, what should have happened, is that they would put Garland up for a vote and he would have been voted down. And none of this would have mattered. This would have been gone. Then maybe Obama puts up another justice, and then you vote him down again until he picks somebody who's good. The reason why the Republicans went this direction and tried to make it all about the election year is that, number one, they didn't want to have to force Republican senators in purple states to have to take tough votes. These concerns drive me nuts. But the important thing to remember is that all this Merrick Garland stuff, the stuff that all the Democrats are complaining about now, all of this changed nothing. Nothing. The exact same thing would have happened if they left the whole process go forward. If they put Merrick Garland up, he got voted down, then came the election, then Trump wins, then Gorsuch is in. It's the same freaking thing. The other thing to remember is Democrats never adopted this standard. They fought this standard every step of the way and continue to say that this, no nominee in an election year thing was basically the worst crime any party had ever committed. Now they're using this standard, the same one they're fighting so hard for today. They opposed it before. And now they're using it as their justification for everything. In fact, if you go back to the Merrick Garland thing, when Brett Kavanaugh was being trotted out as a nominee, they just accused him of being a rapist. And when Republicans would complain about how unfairly they were treating Brett Kavanaugh, they would just simply respond, oh yeah, well, Merrick Garland. This is a horribly dumb point, and all of this is ridiculous. What was an evil and unfair strategy last week is a time-honored tradition that can't be broken today. None of these people mean any of these things. And it's just plainly not some crazy thing Republicans are doing. Let me walk you through the very brief history of SCOTUS vacancies in election years. Total SCOTUS vacancies in election years, 29, okay? How many times did a president nominate somebody in that election year? I don't know, just all 29. Total times the Senate and president have been in the same party was 19. So of those 19, how many times did they go through during an election year? 17. So 17 of 19, the current situation we're talking about. Now, there have been times like the Merrick Garland time where there was a Republican Senate and a Democratic president, or the opposite. There's 10 of those times in history. Total times when that worked out, 2. So you're 2 for 10 in the Garland situation. You're 17 for 19 in the, I don't know, Amy Coney Barrett situation, or whoever it's going to be this time. Historically, it wouldn't be pushing it through too quickly. It's not a crazy idea. None of this is a crazy idea. It is a different situation. I can understand the accusations of hypocrisy at some level, because some people didn't argue this very well and honestly made up a lot of BS sort of points on top of the basics. The basics are this. When you have a Supreme Court justice that is being nominated that you think will not respect the Constitution, you just don't vote for them. And that's what would have happened if Merrick Garland were put up in front of the Senate in 2016. The issue here was McConnell tried to protect the Republican Party from having to make some tough votes, and the outlying possibility that maybe a bunch of Republicans would run away and vote with the Democrats. But remember, they would have needed to get to 60 votes at this time. It's completely unlikely. The main thing that they were doing was shielding a few votes in, bluish or purple states. To me, I'd rather stick with the principle, because none of this is going on right now. If you would have stuck to the principle back then, let them have the vote and just say no. We think that guy you put out there, Merrick Garland, we think he sucks. So we're going to say no.